Good morning. Welcome to UCOV, which stands for the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice. Each one of you is very welcome here, and we're delighted that you chose to be with us today on this rainy morning. We hope you'll meet someone new and also find something in today's service that inspires you. My name is Eileen Leapley, and I'm your worship associate today. If you'd like to learn more about UCOV and all that we offer to stimulate learning and connection, please visit our website at ucov.org or visit our Facebook page. If you're joining us online, please know that your donations are most welcome and can be made remotely by clicking the donate button on our website. Is anyone visiting with us for the first time today who will feel comfortable enough to stand and tell us your name and where you're from? No pressure at all. But somebody will bring a microphone over if you, oh, wonderful. Okay, who wants to bring a microphone over? Lori will. All right, thanks. We do have a few visitors, and I'm so grateful because this rainy weather, I would think, would tend to keep people home.
Hi, good morning. I'm Ellen Scarcella. I am almost a member at the UU St. Petersburg congregation, and I'm just visiting for the weekend and glad to be here for the service.
Thank you for coming. Oh, here we go, behind.
Good morning. My name is Scott Smith, and this is my wife, Ann. We're here for the first time. We've, in various communities where we've lived, we've always found that we enjoy people who tend to affiliate with UUs in their respective communities. And we've never joined, and we're not much into conventional organized religion, but UU has a reputation for being pretty inclusive, and so we're putting a toe in the water, and we've already been greeted and welcomed by a lot of friendly people, so we're pretty sure we like the people. We'll just have to see how we like the service.
Thanks a lot, Scott. Anyone else? Last chance. It's perfectly fine if you don't want to. Okay, good. All right, so we have quite a few announcements today. John Van Camp has an important announcement or two regarding a very special event coming up on Saturday, and then another event. It should be on.
I don't think it's on.
Is the green light on?
It's on now. All right. All right. I do have an announcement. You could also call it a celebration. But before I get to that, for those of you who are interested in the Great Decisions, which is a U.S. foreign policy discussion group that goes on all around the country on 8 different topics and whatever, UUs have hosted them in the past. We're going to have a gathering for those who are interested here, not in Waters Hall because of the rain. So at 11:15, we're going to have a gathering here on Great Decisions. It's just how do we start the group and what it's all about. All right, so the announcement in the celebration is really, it has to do with, and Nancy should be up here because she's a cohort in you'll hold the flyer. Yeah, and because what is this flyer? This flyer is the new children's flyer. And we have, the adult flyers, if you will, have been around for a while, but we have a brand new flyer for children. And we have some in the back. So if you're affiliated at all with a school or a place that has children or families, because it's a unique flyer designed, and we think we have some great programming for kids. All right, now on to the other. Yes, for the Right to, yes, thank you, for the Right to Read Festival next Saturday. But the celebration and the announcement is, because of your really generous, very generous support, we have reached the goal of what we need for our money. So we're not taking any more donations for the Right to Read Festival. However, if you would like to donate, Having said that, we're soon going to form the Social Justice Alliance of the Suncoast of Florida, which would be church-based and nonprofit-based organizations. And there we're going to start tackling new issues like gun violence and abortion and other kinds of issues. So when we form that alliance will be accepting donations. Thank you.
Thank you, John and Nancy, and everyone who has been putting together this remarkable event. And we know we will see all of you there, and it's guaranteed to be a sunny, beautiful day. Okay, so Bill Colagrande and Kathy Avery would like to thank everyone who attended the trivia night on Friday. It was a lot of fun, and we will be having more of those. So pay attention to the calendar, and they'll be coming soon. There will be a Worship Associates meeting this Thursday at 2 p.m. in Waters Hall. See Kathy Avery or call her if you have questions. Kathy could not be here today. I do want to point out a correction on your, behind your order of service. It's what's happening at UCOV. It says no more meatless Mondays. That is not true. The first Monday of every month is a meatless Monday, and that's on the calendar, and it's always at Waters Hall, starts at 5 o'clock, and you bring, it's a potluck dish with no meat, and it's a fabulous time, and everyone is invited. Okay, the presentation on public libraries entitled "What Happens at the Public Library When Books Are Challenged" will be on Tuesday, March 12th at 1 p.m. in the sanctuary. That's next month. Let's see. Come to a meeting this Thursday at 10 a.m. in Waters Hall to discuss UCOV fundraising. An auction is being considered. We've had auctions in the past that have been very fun and also very successful. Our own member, Wayne Lucigian, has some excellent ideas. Come to the meeting and add your own. The new support group Transitions will meet this Thursday at 3 p.m. in Waters Hall. See Roxy Platt if you have any questions about that, or give her a call. Kathy would like to tell you that no one showed up for her Build Your Own Theology course. She was disappointed. She's going to try again this Tuesday, the 20th, at 2 p.m. in the sanctuary, and if no one shows again, she's going to set that aside for a while. I think that is all the announcements. I'm sorry if I forgot anybody. And Lisa will now play the prelude for us. words for this chalice lighting are from Into the Circle by Reverend Dr. David Breeden. We gather into this circle. We gather into the circle of care to dream, to envision, to embody, and to achieve the compassion we dream, the justice we envision, the dignity of each in an ever-growing circle of love and justice.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Janet Knudsen. I'm filling in for Amy today as worship leader. Our opening words are "Let Us Make This Earth a Heaven" by Reverend Tess Baumberger. Let us make this earth a heaven right here, right now. Who knows what existences death will bring? Let us create a heaven here on earth where love and truth and justice reign. Let us welcome all at our pearly gates, our freedom table, amid singing and great rejoicing. Black, white, yellow, red, and all our lovely colors. Straight, lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer, questioning, cisgendered, transgendered, non-binary, gender non-conforming, healthy, sick, hurting, variously abled, young, old, gentle, cranky, joyous, sorrowing. Let no one feel excluded. Let no one feel alone. May all have enough to meet their needs. May all share power generously. May all venerate the earth, our mother, and tend her with wisdom and compassion. May we make our earth an Eden, a paradise. May no one wish to leave her. May hate, violence, and warfare cease to clash in causes too old and tired to name. Religion, nationalism, racism, the false god of gold, deep-rooted ethnic hatreds. May these all disperse and wane. May we see each other's true selves. May we all dwell together in peace and joy and understanding. Let us make a heaven here on earth before it is too late. Let us make this earth a heaven for each other's sake. Our gathering hymn is number 348, Guide My Feet. Please rise in body and spirit. Tom is now going to play a video for us for children's time.
Before I go to bed, I love reading books. I love reading words and the way the pictures look.
Hi, my name is Sebastian. And my name is Alexander. We're the Gemelo Bilingües. We like reading books. And we hope you like reading books too. Today's book is Sometimes People March. Sometimes ants march. Sometimes bands march. Sometimes people march. Marching is something people do together when they want to resist injustice or when they notice the need for change. People march for many reasons. People march for things they care about and people they love. People march for the health of their bodies and their communities and the world. People march for the freedom to love and live and learn. Sometimes people carry signs to share their stories of resistance. People resist in many ways. Sometimes people resist with their voices. They might resist with words, or with songs, or art. People resist with meetings. They resist by standing up, or sitting down, or taking a knee. It isn't always easy. Feet get tired, arms get tired, hearts and hopes get tired. Sometimes problems seem too big or complex. But we do not march alone. Ants are stronger together. Bands are louder together. People are more powerful together. Sometimes from feelings of fear or anger or injustice comes the hope for change. Sometimes great change starts small with a brave question. Maybe your question, a question that calls people together. And together we find the courage to march. The end. You can find this book and many more at your local library.
I love to go to libraries, look around and search, and I read so many books that I learned a lot of words. I can tell you stories that you never ever heard, and I love to read about people different than me, and I'm thankful I can read, I'm thankful I can see, and before I go to bed, yeah, I love reading books.
We're going to sing the Children's Benediction by Reeb. Giving is a sacred practice, and when you give to your church, you also receive. Our offering words are offered with levity because giving should always happen with a smile. As a man drove his family home from church, he was complaining about everything. The music was too loud. The sermon was too long. The church announcements were unclear. The building was hot. The people were unfriendly. He went on, complaining about everything. Finally, his observant son said, Dad, you've got to admit, it wasn't a bad show for just $1. Because we hope that today's show is worth more than $1, we will now pass the basket as Lisa plays our offertory music. A church is not the building, but the people. As a community of human hands and human hearts, we come together here to share our laughter and our tears. We are entering into a time of sharing our joys and concerns. You may raise a hand, and someone, well, not someone, it will be Eileen. Eileen will bring you a microphone. Please share information only with permission, and I will light a candle of remembrance for each joy or concern.
Hi, Mark Murray. My wife Mary made me promise that I would not share that she broke her wrist in pickleball.
Ouch. Please give her our fondest regards. Aw.
Excuse me for not standing, but I'm Barbara Smith, and one thing that's left out of our order of service or our announcements is a Tuesday night, Dr. Michael Denham from Florida Southern College will be speaking here with the title Florida and the Civil War. And he is an authority, and it's free, and it's open to the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barb.
Hi, I'm Tom Reeves. I'm afraid, Barbara, that was canceled and it's changed. I mean, we will have the Historical Society meeting here Tuesday night, but Gary Goldberg is going to be running videos, old videos from the city of Venice over many years. So we will have that presentation, 7 o'clock Tuesday night.
Thanks, Tom. I have an announcement. My husband, Steve, didn't make me promise, but he probably will be mad at me, but his birthday is Wednesday. So when you go out, make sure you give him a birthday hug or handshake, whatever you want to do.
May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May we never look away when we are needed. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. May those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
Our first reading is from Tommy Orange's book, There, There. Tommy Orange is an American novelist and writer from Oakland, California. He's a citizen of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes of Oklahoma. The wound that was made when white people came and took all that they took has never healed. An unattended wound gets infected, becomes a new kind of wound, like the history of what actually happened became a new kind of history. All these stories that we haven't been telling all this time, that we haven't been listening to, are just part of what we need to heal. When we go to tell our stories, people think we want it to have gone different. People want to say things like sore losers and move on already and quit playing the blame game. But is it a game? Only those who have lost as much as we have seen the particularly nasty slice of smile on someone who thinks they're winning when they say, "Get over it." This is the thing. If you have the option to not think about or even consider history, whether you learned it right or not, or whether it even deserves consideration, that's how you know you're on board the ship that serves hors d'oeuvres and fluffs your pillows, while others are out at sea, swimming or drowning or clinging to little inflatable rafts that they have to take turns keeping inflated. People short of breath who've never even heard of the words hors d'oeuvres or fluff. If you were fortunate enough to be born into a family whose ancestors directly benefited from genocide and or slavery, maybe you think the more you don't know, the more innocent you can stay, which is a good incentive to not find out, to not look too deep, to walk carefully around the sleeping tiger. Look no further than your last name. Follow it back, and you might find your line paved with gold or beset with traps.
Our meditation reading is Prayer for Moving Forward by Reverend Jennifer Von Rue. Our hearts are stretched thin. We see and hear the devaluing of people of color, of those with disabilities, of women, of immigrants. This list, incomplete as it is exhausting. However thin our resilience may be wearing, we do not give up or give in. We will not rest until we are heard. We will not rest until equity is made more real. Please join me now in a minute of silent meditation, thought, or prayer.
Our second reading is by Howard Zinn, the American historian, playwright, philosopher, socialist intellectual, and World War II veteran. To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act, and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of a world in a different direction. And if we do act in however small a way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents. And to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory.
Today's centering hymn may be unfamiliar to many of us, so Lisa is going to play it once, and then we will do our best. Today's sermon is entitled Taking One's Moral Inventory, and it was written by Reverend Kaaren Anderson. When I was a young woman, there were a few men I was smitten with. When I say smitten, I mean that these men possessed the qualities of my ideal man. They were, in this order, my dad, Mick Jagger, my cousin Trond, and Henry David Thoreau. All of them seemed to be good guys, men who I admired for some strength of character. Well, I don't really know about Jagger. As to Henry David Thoreau, it was certainly not because of the way he looked. In fact, his contemporary Nathaniel Hawthorne described him as this: he is ugly as sin, long-nosed, queer-mouthed, with uncouth and somewhat rustic manners. But his ugliness is of an honest and agreeable fashion and becomes him much better than beauty. So yes, I was smitten with a man who would not have turned any girl's head. But that's not why I liked him. I liked him because he was a person who lived his life with great intention. Thoreau was a New England writer in the 1800s. He was a recluse of sorts and an amateur botanist who became famous in later years through the Transcendentalist movement. But he was also known for living in a little shack that was about 10 feet by 10 feet on Walden Pond outside Concord, Massachusetts. There he wrote about his life and the natural world. What people don't know, by the way, is that he quite often would trudge through the woods to his mother's house for dinner. There are some great stories to tell about Thoreau, but this one has always captured my imagination. Henry needed to pick up his shoe at the cobbler's shop, so he walked into Concord, and on his way, he ran into Sam Staples. As the town constable, Staples was responsible for collecting the poll tax, which was assessed on all male adults from the age of 22 to 70. Thoreau, then 29, had not paid the tax for years, and owing to certain personal convictions, wasn't about to either. Staples told Thoreau, "Henry, if you don't pay, I'll surely have to lock you up." To which Thoreau replied, "Well, now is as good a time as any." So Thoreau was taken to the county jail, where he stayed overnight in a little cell. He was released in the morning after his Aunt Maria heard what had happened and dropped off money on her nephew's behalf. Now, most people would have been grateful about this, but not Thoreau. A year or so before his overnight incarceration, Thoreau had spoken with candor at the town's lyceum about his opinions on the poll tax. He said refusing to pay taxes in a country that tolerates slavery and has recently launched an unjust war on Mexico is not a crime, but a moral obligation to rebel and revolutionize. Soon after this incident, he wrote that wonderful essay on the duty of civil disobedience, which, as one author put it, has always been kind of a stirring ode to nonconformists who put conscience above the letter of the law and the will of the minority. Thoreau is kind of an iconoclastic Unitarian folk hero, a man who lived with great intention when it came to his principles. And so I believe that he was someone to emulate when it came to character and good moral conduct. That is, until I read a book by Ayal Press called Beautiful Souls. Press skillfully tells the stories of people who said no, broke the ranks, and heeded the voice of conscience in dark times. As I read this book, I was thinking it was going to point to examples of intentional living that could help guide all of us in the direction of a better society. And that, of course, was predicated on the belief that if we bring our best selves forward in service to the common good, we can make the larger good better. Except what I was expecting to find didn't hold true. One story that Press tells is about a man named Paul Gruniger. Gruniger was the commander of the state police in St. Gallen, a northwestern town in Switzerland near the border with Austria. And he was also the head of border police in his area in 1938. The Swiss government had just closed its borders and instructed all the border guards to prohibit entry to anyone without proper documentation. In November of 1938, the Nazis stormed Vienna in an organized assault known as Kristallnacht, which turned Austria's state capital into a city of terror and violence. Hundreds of Jewish shops were vandalized, dozens of temples were burned, and countless injuries and fatalities were recorded. The assault left little doubt about what the unification of Austria and Germany would mean for the Jews. There were many Jews trying to find safe passage out of the country at the same time as the Swiss border guards were following orders to keep them out. But something happened at Gruniger's post because many Jews were being allowed entry there. Gruniger was considered a conservative. He was not a rule breaker of any kind. He sang in his church choir and was a proud patriot and civil servant. So why did he, time and time again, help Jews cross the border into Switzerland? I began to wonder if perhaps he just had exceptional character, but what I learned is that people's moral conduct often has nothing to do with their character. In fact, in other books I've read, many rescuers possess character traits that we would never want to lift up as shining examples. They were sometimes cheats and thieves, hijackers and blackmailers. So if it wasn't their good character that motivated them, what was it? The answer actually lies in the details of Gruniger's story. Gruniger knew the rule. Nobody was allowed to pass, but almost all of the other border captains delegated the actual responsibility to others and then went about their other business. Gruniger did not. Each person who was seeking asylum stood right in front of him, pleading for his help. As a result of letting hundreds of people cross the border, Groeninger was fired, and he was subjected to disgrace by his community until the very end of his life. He spent decades after the war trying to regain his good standing among his people. At one point, he wrote to the Swiss government defending his actions by saying, "Whoever had the opportunity as I had to repeatedly witness those heartbreaking scenes, the screaming and crying of mothers and children, the threats of suicide, I ultimately couldn't face it anymore." It turns out that the one thing all rescuers have in common is not a character trait at all. It is first-hand proximity to suffering. That's the only common factor. Ayal Press writes, "What ultimately determines moral conduct are not character traits, personal beliefs, or political attitude, but situational factors." The social psychologist Stanley Milgram, who worked at Yale in the 60s, did a lot of work in this area and concluded that a person's proximity to harm or suffering directly correlates to how responsible they feel to alleviate the suffering they are witnessing. I lifted up Thoreau's actions as an example of character, of intentional, principled living that guides moral conduct, but I missed something, and it is this: there is distinction between being a good person and being a good citizen. Thoreau said, "It is not a man's duty to devote himself to the eradication of any, even the most enormous wrong. He may still properly have other concerns to engage him, but it is his duty at least to wash his hands of it, and if he gives it no thought longer, not to give it practically his support." In other words, if Thoreau's hands were clean, that was enough for him. As Unitarian Universalists, we cannot end there. Our own UU principles, in particular the last one, respect for the interdependent web of which we are a part, is impossible to uphold if we are all like Thoreau. Our theology of connection reminds us that we are not just bound to each other as human beings, but also that the well-being of another is related to our own well-being. Perhaps a better way of saying that is to see others' needs as our own. And this means that we must continually be in close proximity to those who are the victims of evil, the evil we want to wash our hands of. We must engage and stay close to the suffering of the human condition in order that we not just become good people with good character and intention, but rather good world citizens, good sisters and brothers to the human family. 15 years ago, I brought a group of teenagers from the church I was serving at the time to Mexico. We went to 2 border towns to see in person what the effects of NAFTA were on third world countries. We met with workers in homes built from pallets, scrap metal, and cardboard. They had no locks, no running water, no latrines, no electricity, and dirt floors. They repeatedly commented on what an honor it was to be able to talk to their northern sisters and brothers. For 6 days, we listened to their stories. Most of the workers made $6 a day by working for American companies that had moved their factory across the Rio Grande to reap the benefits of cheap labor. Already, many of these factories were leaving Mexico to various points in Asia for even cheaper labor. At one point on the trip, they took us to the local grocery store to see what 2 adults working for $6 a day could afford to buy. After an hour in the store, we realized that our funds were woefully insufficient. We could purchase rice and beans and oil, but we didn't have enough money to buy cornmeal for tortillas. There was nothing left for clean water or toilet paper. It became increasingly clear that under these conditions, 2 working parents could not make ends meet. Most parents had to send their kids to work by 6th grade because by then it costs money to send them to school, and when you can't buy toilet paper, you certainly can't pay for school. There were 11-year-olds bagging our groceries for tips as we went through the grocery checkout line. If you had been there, you likely would have felt as I did, that it was just sheer luck that a life of abject poverty wasn't in the cards that were dealt to me. This experience was just one of many instances in my life that I have had close proximity to human suffering. But this experience took place years ago, and I have found that the further my proximity gets in time, the further I get from real relational closeness to those suffering from injustice. I start to forget what that firsthand experience felt like. I need that kind of gut-wrenching, close-up experience more often. We probably all could use a little more of it. Real change, both in the world and inside ourselves, needs more than Thoreau-like pondering and writing thoughtful arguments. It takes getting close enough to allow the pain of others to change you. Cultivating close relationships is more important than cultivating careful thought. Being in relationship with people will activate your empathy, and from that, committed action is born. You can become the change you want to see in the world. Paul Groeninger wasn't recognized for his good deeds at the time, nor even decades after. But when you look suffering in the eye, it is Groeninger's life that we want to hold on to as our moral example of a good life. May it be so. Amen. Our final reading is Justice is Our Prayer by Reverend Rebecca Savage. We have come to the end of our service, but not our calling in the world. May we close our time together with the humble reminder that justice and equity are our spiritual practices to embrace. Each day, every day, we are blessed to be the embodiment of what is possible when justice and equity ground us in all that we do. May we go forth with the light and warmth of the chalice in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing hymn is number 121, We'll Build the Land. Please rise as you are willing or able. benediction is by Jabari S. Jones. May we remember the wounds of the past that bleed into the present, so that we may heal and grow into the future together, whole and wise. May we remember and be free at last.